This build will effectively turn your primary weapon into a blinding grenade launcher. It will lock down crowds of enemies, simultaneously weakening them and making them explode. The key is the exotics used in this build, and I can anticipate that this will be very effective in Onslaught given the capacity to incapacitate and weaken strong enemies. But in order for me to fully explain the power of these exotics, I have to explain the abilities and debuffs used in the build. I can promise you'll be missing out on just how powerful this build is if you skip ahead to the exotic explanation, unless you are already an expert on these void abilities and debuffs. Just in case you decide you want to come back and get these explanations so you can really understand it, I have a chapter marker right here. Do yourself a favor and circle back for these details. We'll be running Void, and Suppressor Grenade will be a must. This disrupts overloads. But more importantly, enemies will be unable to attack unless they're considered a boss. This means that non-boss enemies will do nothing but stumble around for 6 seconds when the effect wears off. And that's incredibly powerful for dealing with tons of ads and survivability. Our aspects are Feed the Void and Child of the Old Gods. Void abilities will give us Devour, and all Devour effects restore full health and grant more grenade regen. Our Void Soul will weaken targets and give us melee and grenade energy. Echo of Harvest will create orbs and void breaches from the many targets will be weakening. Echo of Starvation will cause orbs and breaches to give us Devour. Echo of Instability will give our void weapons volatile rounds when getting grenade kills. And Echo of Expulsion will cause our void ability kills to cause targets to explode. This works extremely well, especially with the amount of volatile effects we can apply with this build. Our mods will be focused on generating grenade energy, orbs of power, and ammo. Depending on what activity you are using this in, feel free to substitute less ammo generating mods for more ability generating mods, as those are really the strongest part of this build. We'll be using Harmonic Siphon to generate orbs of power from our void weapon kills, Font of Wisdom to increase our intellect, Heavy Ammo Finder to increase our heavy ammo, Impact Induction to give grenade ability energy when dealing powered melee, Font of Focus, as Discipline is our most important spec in this build, potentially behind Resilience, as we want to be very tanky with this. Use whatever resistance chest piece mods will help you in your activity, and if you can fit up a charged up mod, that'll be great. I'm using Harmonic Scavenger in the build with the assumption that you'll be using a heavy void weapon of your choice, but you can switch up the boot mods depending on what you're using. And of course, if you're not using a heavy void weapon, then you may not want to use Void Surge like I am. Bomber will help to regenerate our grenade when using our class ability. Font of Restoration increases our recovery, which increases the rate at which we can put down our rift, and Child of the Old Gods Orb. Time Dilation will allow our armor charges to last longer, and as mentioned earlier, I focus on Discipline, Resilience, and Recovery as my primary stats. After that, I went for Intellect to help general lethality. Now, for those of you who skipped ahead to the exotic reveal, welcome! You'll be missing out unless you are already a Void Lot expert. There's a timestamp to the ability section so you can circle back in case you don't understand exactly why these exotics are going to be so strong. For those of you who stuck around until now, don't tell them, it's a secret. Our first exotic is going to be Nezarec's Sin. It's definitely one of the strongest Void exotics, and we use it specifically in this build because it provides insane ability regen. If you've been watching the solo GM gameplay so far, you'll see just how quick that ability regen is. Its exotic perk, Abyssal Extractors, triggers for 2.5 seconds and stacks up to 20 seconds on any Void ability or Void weapon kill. While active, Abyssal Extractors grants 300% base grenade and melee regen and 200% class, ability, and super regen. All of our abilities apply debuffs that are incredibly helpful in this build, so maximizing all of their uptime with Nezarec Sin was the obvious choice for me. Our grenade is especially key to the build, and outside of something like Controverse Hold, which doesn't even work with our grenade, Nezarec Sin has the highest regen boost for Void grenades. Without consideration of any of our aspects or mods, Nezarec Sin can improve our base regen for our grenade to just 40 seconds. But with everything else in this build, I've sometimes felt like it was practically instant. Our class ability is our next most important ability because of the health and debuff it offers. Its base regen can be reduced to just 20.5 seconds. Considering that a rift lasts for 15 seconds and the other rift generating features for this build, you should almost always be able to stand in a rift. But the exotic weapon is the most important feature of this build. We are using the Collective Obligation Pulse Rifle from the Vow of the Disciple raid. Now, I hear some of you saying, really? All of this for that joke that I farmed forever and immediately never used? Yeah. Circle back to the ability explanations, especially what our grenade does, and you'll understand why. When you shoot Collective Obligation at an enemy affected by a Void debuff, you will store that debuff in the weapon. This includes Suppress, Weaken, and Volatile. Holding the reload will trigger an alternate fire mode, which causes the weapon to apply all stored debuffs to enemies it hits. I found the best results are obtained by hitting as many targets as possible during the alternate fire mode. The effect lasts for 15 seconds, so you should be able to suppress, weaken, and apply volatile to most, if not all, enemies in sight. Our grenade's suppress effect lasts for 6 seconds. You can further suppress targets for 15 seconds via the alternate fire mode. That effect will then last for 6 more seconds from the last suppressing shot. That is a total of 27 seconds of suppression from one grenade. Between Nezarec Sin giving us a 40-second grenade cooldown and Collective Obligation, that's just 13 seconds you have to bridge in order to have unlimited suppression effects. Given the improved Devour from our build, as well as the many other means of generating grenade energy, it really can feel nearly infinite. And the power of this build only gets stronger the more Void teammates you have. With just one other teammate running some sort of suppression effect, you literally can have infinite suppression because of Collective Obligation. Especially if you ran something like maybe a Void Hunter with your Falcon's Havoc spreading volatile everywhere. This build is nasty. Now, Strand and Stasis Warlock builds have amazing crowd control, and they may have better crowd control than this build in some situations. However, I really enjoy how much offensive capability the constant weaken effects give your team. Not to mention the damage capacity of all the volatile effects. And Devour just offers so much better survivability than you can receive from either Darkness subclass on a Warlock currently. My build uses the special GL Pardon Our Dust because it can be crafted with disorienting rounds, auto-loading holster, and demolitionist. The disorienting rounds will allow you to bridge any gaps between suppression effects, especially if you are the only Void subclass user in your party. Better choices and roles I do not have, unfortunately, would be a Lingering Dread Stasis GL from the Duality Dungeon, which can roll with disorienting rounds, auto-loading holster, and chill crit to allow you to deal with both overload and unstoppable champions. I also really want to get Tusk of the Boar Strand GL Waveframe from the Iron Banner, since it can roll with Slice and Chain Reaction. Light GG says it can't roll with disorienting rounds, but disorienting rounds don't work on bosses. However, the Sever effect from Slice will decrease all enemies' damage, including bosses, by I believe 30%. And that extra survivability can be really nice. Since it is a wave frame, it should be very easy to apply this Sever to groups of enemies at a time. Further, because of the Unraveling Orbs seasonal artifact mod, we'll be able to unravel large groups at once and also be able to break barrier champion shields. Both this and Chill Clip will allow you to trigger Torch on enemies as well and get additional damage debuffs. Now there's just too many great Void heavy weapons for me to pick just one in the build. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments what works best. I'm especially eager to try out the new Brave Arsenal weapons being introduced in Into the Light on April 9th, especially considering that they will have access to enhanced perks in the final shape. Chill Clip Heavies are also a great option, as they'll allow you to deal with overload and unstoppable champions, especially something like a GL or rocket launcher. If you like the survivability provided by Devour, then you've got to try my Karnstein Armlets build, which will be linked at the end of this video. Please share this build with your friends, subscribe for more Warlock videos, and thank you so much for watching.